Hare Krishna, everyone. Jai Shri Ram and Jai Veer Hanuman. Welcome to session 7, our final session in this sacred journey through Hanuman Chalisa at Goloka Gurukul. Let's chant this together. Shri Guru Charan Saroj Raj Nij Man Mukuru Sudhari Varnau Raghuvar Vimal Jasu Jodayak Falchari. Over the past few weeks, we've explored not just the verses, but also the beautiful mood of devotion, service, and surrender that shines through the life of Hanumanji. In this session, we will go through the final verses from 35 to 40 and the closing Doha, which acts as Tulsidasji's personal prayer and heartfelt offering. These concluding verses are filled with divine assurance. They speak of the benefits of reciting this Chalisa, the power of faith, and the intimacy between the devotee and the Lord that Hanumanji exemplifies. We will also reflect on the entire journey and how each verse built as a bridge between us and Hanumanji, between us and Lord Ram. So let's begin our final leg with full heart, full gratitude, and full bhakti. Jai Shri Ram. और देवता चेत न धरई हनुमत से ही सर्व सुख करई. Or devata, other demigods or deities. Chitta na dharahi, do not remain in mind. One does not fix the mind on them. Hanumat say, with Hanuman, sarva sukha karahi, all happiness comes. He gives all joys. This verse is a powerful declaration of exclusive devotion to Hanumanji. The one who worships Hanumanji with steady heart does not need to focus on any other deities. Hanuman alone is the giver of all happiness and success. It's not a denial of other deities. This is not about disrespecting other gods. It's about the power of one pointed devotion. And I think this can be lead to some sort of a mistranslation as well. It's like you're disrespecting other gods. So in order to understand this properly, we have to go into the heart of Hinduism and understand what is in the Vedas. Now, as you know, there are four Vedas: Rig Veda, Samved, Yajurved, and Atharvaved. And what's in the Vedas? If we were to understand this at the highest level, there are three sections in the Vedas. First one is Upasana Kand, where there are praises to various deities. Second one is Karam Kand, where those praises are taken and put into methods of worship like yaga, yagya, homa, havan, and so on. And the third section is the Gyan Kand, which is the section of wisdom in the Vedas, where we understand the meaning behind the upasana and karma. And in the Vedic society, all the three aspects were given equal importance, where people undertook upasana as well as karma with an understanding of the Upanishadic wisdom. That Upanishadic wisdom says there is one indivisible truth that manifests in various forms for our benefits. Unfortunately, over time, people only focus on the acts of worship and benefits that various deities could give us. So who are these deities? These are the Vedic deities. Indradev, who looks after the rains. Agnidev, who looks after fire. Yamaraj, who looks after justice. Vayudev, who looks after wind, and so on and so forth. So one can even consider these to be the manifestation of the natural divine forces. This act of simply worshipping the devatas without understanding the deep philosophical meaning was first criticized by Bhagwan Shri Krishna. And in the Bhagavad Gita, where he says, Ye yatha mam prapantante tam sathaiva bhajamyaham. Anything and everything that people ask, I am the one who gives it. And yet, he says, people are worshipping all the other deities, seeing them as a separate from this one truth. And this very same principle is illustrated in a famous story of Bhagwan Sri Krishna's life. Whereas as a young boy, he asked his parents and his villagers, why are they worshipping Indra when everything that they get is got from the Govardhan Parvat? Indra, upon seeing that, he's not going to no, he's not going to be worshipped, rains down this little village of Vrindavan. Not for a few hours, not for one day, but for days and nights altogether. And in this situation, Bhagwan Shri Krishna raises Govardhan Parvat on his little finger until Indra realizes that there is a higher power here at play. We too must understand that we are undertaking pujas and havans. The point of this is not just to do the puja, but to use this as a conduit to connect to the higher divinity at play. When we say there is a higher divinity, one question people ask is in the Vedas, there were Indradev, there was Yamaraj, there were Vayudev. So why are we worshipping Vishnu, Shiva, Devi, etc.? The answer is in the Vedas itself. Bhagwan Vishnu, Bhagwan Shiva, Adi Parashakti, all these deities are mentioned in detail in the Vedas. In addition to this, Rigved says, Ekam Sad Vipra Bahudha Vadanti. The truth is one. The wise called it by different names. And secondly, we need to understand the history and the reason why Bhagwan Shiva, Bhagwan Vishnu, Devi, Ganesh, and so on are worshipped as a supreme truth. Almost 2000 years ago, there was a resurgence of philosophical thought that challenged the Vedas. And these systems of thought we now know today as Buddhism, Jainism, and so on gained great traction in the Indian subcontinent. And at that time, about 1200 years ago, a great visionary came to serve Hinduism. In fact, he is one of the greatest Hindu to have ever been born. That great visionary is called Adi Shankaracharya. Adi Shankaracharya was born in a small village in Kerala, and he grew up in Kerala, but traveled in his short lifespan of only 32 years by foot across India. Why? To re-establish this Vedic doctrine that there is one truth that manifests differently based on our temperaments. Now, at that time, that Adi Shankaracharya was traveling around India and re-established this doctrine, there was a system of worship where even as Hindus, people are worshipping their ancestors. People were worshipping primarily village deities. People were engaging with the divine only for their limited benefit without connecting to the higher source. So Adi Shankaracharya established the Hindu system of theology that we know today as Shanmata, 6 forms of divine that are gateways to access the highest truth. In fact, these are the manifestation of the highest truth themselves. What are these 6? These are Bhagwan Vishnu, Bhagwan Shiva, Adi Shakti, Ganpati, Skanda, and Surya. And the followers of each of these doctrine became Vaishnavas, Shaivas, Shaktas, Ganpatyas, Gauras, Kumaras, and Saurya. And almost every deity that we see in the vast diversity of the divine in Hinduism has some connection or the other to these 6. Now you may say, in Hanuman Chalisa it is written as Aur Devata Chittana Dhare Hanumat Se Hi Sarv Sukh Kare. Why Hanumat? Well, because Hanumat has a connection, a deep connection with all six. Hanumanji is a greatest devotee of Bhagwan Shri Ram. So there is a direct connection to Vaishnavas. Hanumanji is considered as an avatar of Shiva himself, so there is a connection to Shiva. When Ma Durga rides out on her lion, in front of her carrying her flag is Hanumanji. And you go to any Ganpati temple, you find some or the other shrine for Hanumanji. Even in the famous Sri Siddhi Vinayak temple in Mumbai, there is a separate dedicated shrine to Hanumanji. Skanda is the great lord of war. Who is the greatest warrior than Hanumanji? And Suryadev, we know that Bhagwan Surya was Hanumanji's guru himself. Unfortunately, as Hindus, sometimes we find ourselves getting into arguments. No, 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 this deity is supreme. No, 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 that deity is supreme. My deity is supreme, your deity is not. I just want to ask one thing. If we are worshipping the divine, are we worshipping the divine to reduce our ego or create a new spiritual ego? Because if we are doing it out of devotion, then our ego should go down, not create a new ego that says, you know, I am from this group and I follow this line and only this line is supreme. That egoless action is true bhakti. And this isn't my view. In chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan defines whom he sees as a bhakta. And it's a beautiful series of verses. The first one of which it actually says, Advaishta Sarva Bhutanam Maitra Karuna Evacha Nirmamo Niramkara Sama Dukha Sukha Kshami. The very first qualification that Bhagwan gives is Advaishta Sarva Bhutanam. One who has no dislike. No dislike towards whom? Sarva Bhutanam. Everyone around. So one who has no dislike towards anyone around is qualified as Bhagwan's devotee. So if we say that we are a bhakta, then we have to live up to these qualifications that have been given by Bhagavan. We cannot say I am only Advaishta towards my group. We have to have Advaishta Sarva Bhutanam. And just to finish off, so Hanumanji is the embodiment of strength, the messenger of Lord Ram, the protector of bhaktas, and the one who carries all divine qualities with him. So focusing on Hanumanji is like watering the roots of the tree. All branches are nourished. That's another example. Just like when a child calls for his mother, he doesn't worry about asking each family member. He knows that mother will bring everything. And Hanumanji is not a deity. He's a complete support system for the soul. Focus on him with faith and every joy will come in this life and beyond. संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा. Sankat kate, all troubles are cut away. Mite sab pira, all pains is destroyed. Jo sumare ho, whoever remembers. Hanumat balabira, brave and powerful Hanuman. Tulsidasji assures that anyone who remembers Hanumanji sincerely with experience will experience relief from suffering, pain, and distress. When we say Hanuman, we're not calling a name. We are inviting into our life the energy to face challenges, the clarity to make the right choices, and the support of a loving divine friend. Even just closing your eyes, let's do that and chant Jai Hanuman with faith has the power to change the mindset, reduce fear, and bring solution. So if you ever feel stuck, afraid, or in pain, just remember Hanuman. Chant his name and surrender your heart. He will carry you through. Jai 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 हनुमान गोसाई कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई. Jai, 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 victory, glory, repeated for emphasis. Hanuman Gosai, O Lord Hanuman, Kripa Karu, please bestow mercy. Gurudev Kinai, like a divine spiritual master. This verse is Tulsidasji's humble prayer and devotional surrender to Hanuman. He glorifies Hanuman and begs for his grace, just as one would approach a guru. This Sanskrit word Jai has such depth that English cannot accurately capture it. In English, we translate Jai as victory. But victory over whom? Victory for what? When we say Jai Shri Ram, in English it's translated as victory to Shri Ram. But think about it. That Bhagwanji really needs us to encourage him to victory? No. When we say Jai Shri Ram, it's not for Bhagwan Shri Ram, it's but for ourselves. Jai Shri Ram means may Bhagwan Shri Ram be victorious in our hearts and our lives. To understand Shri Ram, Shri is the source of all auspiciousness, is Lakshmi. And Ram has a beautiful meaning. Ra stands for the light. Ma stands for within. So when we say Jai Shri Ram, we're saying may the Lord gives us the experience of the light within, and may that be the source of the auspiciousness in our lives. Such depth, such a profound meaning that an English translation can never capture. And this concept of Jai Khara, Jai Shri Ram, this tool, this method that we have, it's especially important for us as a youth because we need this dynamic presence of the divine in our hearts. And as we face challenges in our day-to-day lives, and when we give Jai Kara to Hanumanji, that enthusiasm is double. It's actually triple. That's why Goswami Tulsidasji says, Jai, 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 Hanuman Gosai. What does Hanuman Gosai means? Hanuman, we've already seen this in my first video, stands for one who has a struck chin, the one with the damage on the chin. The deeper meaning is the one who is not proud, doesn't carry that chin like a haughty person, but is humble and soft in nature. Gosai. Gosai comes from a word Goswami. And if I ask someone, what is the meaning of Goswami? The answer will be, oh, it's just a surname. But Gosai, Goswami, has a much, much deeper meaning. That just being a surname, Go is the Sanskrit word for cows. That word go comes from the word or a concept gachati, that which goes. In Sanskrit and in English, the root is the same, go. So the cow go out to graze. That's why that cow is called go, because gachati. In the same way, our senses go out in the world of sense objects. That's why our senses are also called go. So Goswami is the one who has conquered the impulse in their senses to go out in the outer world. A Goswami is the one who navigates the same world that you and I do, but isn't tempted by lust on seeing the lustful objects, isn't triggered by anger by encountering the triggering situation, isn't given to greed when put in a tempting situation, and one who experiences the same world but does not get triggered by their senses is a Goswami. So, in this way, one simple sutra becomes the method for us to overcome our triggers. When faced with lust, just chant Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai. O Hanumanji, come into my life and save me. When faced with anger, chant Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai. When faced with fear, chant Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai. When faced with temptation, chant Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai. Now, the trouble is that all these experiences, anger, fear, lust, temptation, hatred, are very heavy emotion. And in the face of these heavy emotion, often we forget that we can chant. So what do we need to remember? That this tool is available to us. We need the grace of the Guru. That's why Goswami Tulsidasji says, Kripa karahu Guru Dev ki nai. Again, kripa is one of those deep words that has no translation. In English, you can call it compassion, mercy, shelter, grace. Grace is that form of compassion, grace, mercy that Guru exhibits when they raise our perspective. Whether we may be qualified for that or not, they don't wait and see how good we are. They don't judge us. They say wherever we are, they come and meet us and raise our lives. That's why it is called Kripa is one of the capabilities of the divine himself. Kripa Karu Gurudev. Again, Guru has now become an English word because they use it everywhere, but Guru has such depth of meaning. Gu means ignorance. Ru means remover of. So a guru is the one who removes our ignorance. And in today's world, people say, oh, I don't need a guru. All the knowledge is in the books. Why do we need a guru? Why do we need to submit to someone? The reality is that guru isn't the one who gives us the knowledge. He gives us the experience. And whilst we may be able to get the information from the books, the experience of the divine can only be had through the guidance, through the bespoke sadhana, through the grace of the Guru. Guru takes us from Gyan to Vigyan. Gyan means book or knowledge. We can read in the book that an ice cream is sweet, but on a hot day, to taste the cooling sweetness of the ice cream that lowers our body temperature when it is hot and sweating outside, that is Vigyan. That is experiential knowledge. So in this way, the book will say that your inner core is divine. But to experience that divinity, we need a guru. Not just a guru. Kripaha karu Guru Devikinai. And why Hanuman? Why compare Hanuman to a guru? Because Hanuman embodies all the qualities of a true spiritual teacher. Hanuman is wise. He's filled with knowledge of scriptures. Hanuman is selfless, fearless, and full of devotion. He guides us toward God, especially to Lord Ram. Hanuman is not just a hero, he's a spiritual guide, a guru in disguise. And Hanuman is not only a servant of Ram, he's also a teacher, a protector, a guide, a guru who leads us straight to God. जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई छूट ही बंदी महा सुख होई. Jo, whoever, Shatbar, 100 times or 1,000 times, recites it, Paath Karjoi recites this, Chhuta hi bandi, get freed from bondage, Maha Sukhoi, attains great happiness. Tulsidas makes a powerful declaration in this verse. Whoever recites Hanuman Chalisa 100 times with sincerity and devotion will be freed from bondage and will attain immense joy. How do we unlock that Kripa of Bhagwan? By chant regularly. That's why in Hanuman Chalisa it says, Jo Satbar Path Karjai. One of the beauties of Hanuman Chalisa is that it is a stuti, not a mantra. What is the difference? A mantra has only one correct set of words, one correct set of pronunciation, one correct cadence in which we pronounce the mantra. In a stuti, especially stutis in this Avadhi bhasha, in the Avadhi language, you can have multiple words as long as the underlying meaning is consistent. So when it says Sat, there are many perspectives. Some people say Shat, which is 100. Some say Sat, which is 7, which is 7. Then people argue amongst themselves. Now, this isn't to say one perspective is wrong, the other perspective is right. The people who have this argument is wrong. It is to say anyone who chants with devotion is certainly attained to the goal. How many times do you have to chant? Even once, with complete focus and devotion and purity of heart is sufficient. Once someone approached a guru and proudly said, I have been through Bhagavad Gita 18 times. So much arrogance. The person said, oh, I've been through Bhagavad Gita 18 times. Guruji looked at him and softly said, yes, You may have been through Bhagavad Gita 18 times, but has the Bhagavad Gita been through you even once? When we read, when we chant, when we understand, the purpose of that is to create such purity in our heart. And that message will take the root and the experience we had then and there itself. That is the purpose of chanting. So whether you chanted 100 times, whether you chanted 7 times, whether you chanted once, let us aim to manifest this divinity in our heart. And what is the result of this chanting? One is that we release all our limitation. Chhoote hi bandi. What bandhan? What limitation are we getting rid of? The limitation of karma. Getting out of this cycle of karma that leads to various birth and rebirth, deaths and rebirth is achievable through the presence of Hanumanji in our heart and the grace of the Guru. And what is the result of all this? Well, it is the last thing. Maha Sukha Hoi, one who attains the highest bliss. See, realistically, we ask ourselves, why I'm doing anything? Why do I go to work? To earn money. Why do I want to earn money? To have some experience. Why do I want to have some experience? To achieve some level of happiness. Ultimately, this happiness is what is driving everything. And Hanuman Chalisa says, not only do we achieve those limited moments of happiness, but Maha Sukha, the greatest peace, happiness and bliss is achieved through Hanuman Chalisa. See, Tulsidas isn't just promising results, he's sharing his own experience. And when you sincerely call Hanuman again and again, you become unshakable in bhakti and full of joy. जो ये पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा होए सिद्धि साखी गौरी सा. जो ये पढ़े, whoever reads this, Hanuman Chalisa, the hymn in the praise of Hanuman, hoye siddhi, attains perfection or success. Sakhi Gaurisa, Lord Shiva is the witness to this. So whoever reads Hanuman Chalisa with devotion will surely attain success or spiritual perfection. And this promise is witnessed by none other than Lord Shiva himself. One of the great perceptions of Hanuman Chalisa is that it will give me power. Ashta Siddhi Navanidhi ke Data. But what are the siddhis that Hanumanji is talking about here? Is it Anima, Mahima, Garima, Laghima? All of these different siddhis or capabilities that we get? Or is it something greater? You guessed correctly. It is greater. The greatest siddhi that there is, Ram Rasayan Tumre Pasa. As a result of the study of Hanuman Chalisa, we get Ram Rasa. Now, Ram Rasa has different meanings, many meanings. One straightforward meaning is we get bhakti for Shri Bhagwan Shri Ram. And if we get even deeper, Ram stands for light within and Rasa stands for essence. So as a result of the study of Hanuman Chalisa, we understand the essence of light within, which is self-realization. And that self-realization is attested and witnessed by none other than Shivji himself. Now, why Bhagwan Shiva, you may ask? Well, you have already studied that Hanumanji is a Rudra avatar. So when it says Sakhi Gauri, it is said Hanumanji himself is attesting to Ram Rasayana in our hearts. So in addition to this, being a Rudra avatar, sometimes people say he is a Shankar Swayam. But over and above it, there are some other groups that says, no, Hanumanji is Marut only. Not a form of Shivji. For those group, why has Tulsidasji used Sakhi Gaurisa? Well, because Shivji was the Isht Devta of Bhagwan Shri Ram, and even today there are innumerable temples, innumerable places of pilgrimage all over India that has been established by Shri Ram in honor of Shivji. The most prominent of these is Rameshwaram, the place on the southernmost tip of India, from which Bhagwan Sri Ram launched his campaign to Lanka. That Shivlinga that was established thousands of years ago still stands today. Unfortunately, among us devotees, there is a competition to understand who is greater, Bhagwan Shiva or Bhagwan Vishnu. But it is said that in the heart of Shivji is Bhagwan Vishnu, and in the heart of Bhagwan Vishnu is Bhagwan Shiva. This distinction doesn't exist, but yet we create it. and Tulsidasji himself has addressed it. And at the end of Ramcharitmanas, where Bhagwan Shri Ram is about to take Jal Samadhi, all of the residents of Ayodhya gather and ask him for a final address. And that last address is also known as Purujan Gita. And in that address, Bhagwan Shri Ram asks all of the residents of Ayodhya to worship Shivji. In Ramcharitmanas, Uttarkand 7.45, Bhagwan Shri Ram said, Aro ek guput mat, sabhai karo karjori, Shankar bhajan bina anar, bhagati na pavai mori. With joined palms, I will also share a secret doctrine with everyone. Without praying to Lord Shankar, a person cannot attain devotion to me. The place of Shivji, even in a text dedicated to Bhagwan Sri Ram and Hanuman ji, is palpable by this final line. So, when our heart is steady in faith and our tongue vibrates with Hanumanji's name, even the Lord of Kailash smiles and blesses our journey. तुलसीदास सदा हरिचेरा कीजे नाथ हृदय महडेरा. So here Tulsidasji says, I Tulsidas am forever servant of Lord Hari. O Hanuman, my master, please dwell in my heart forever. This verse is deeply personal, devotional, and emotional, a final prayer of surrender. Tulsidas is a servant of Hari. Through the Chalisa is about Hanumanji, but Tulsidas reminds us that Hanumanji's service is rooted in devotion to Ram, and he too is also a servant of Ram. So this verse also shows Tulsidas is also a devotee of Ram, same as Hanuman. And a prayer for presence, he wants, make your home in my heart, Hanuman. This is the deepest request, not a power, not a miracle, but for divine company. Because Tulsidas knows, wherever Hanumanji stays, Ram follows. And when Hanuman resides in your heart, fear leaves and faith grows. May we, like Tulsidas, become the servant of Lord, and may Hanumanji dwell in our heart, now and forever. Let me share one more quickly story about before even Valmiki composed the Ramayana, there existed another version that was far more divine, far more heartfelt, written by none other than Lord Hanuman himself. It was called Hanumad Ramayana. Hanuman, in his deep love for Lord Ram, carved the entire story, every moment of Ram's life, every detail of the battle between the Dharma and Adharma, and every emotion of devotion onto the rocks of Himalayas, using just his fingernails. He didn't write it for fame. He didn't write it to be read by the world. He wrote it as an offering, a personal act of bhakti, of surrender, and of remembrance. But here comes the most touching part of the story. When sage Valmiki, the great composer of the Sanskrit Ramayana, came across Hanuman's version, he read it and was deeply moved. But then he cried. He wept. Hanumanji gently asked, "Why are you crying, Maharishi?" Valmiki replied, "Your version is so beautiful, so perfect. No one will ever read mine." Do you know what Hanuman did? With a smile, no hesitation, he tore his version off the rocks and discarded it, saying, "Let the world benefit from your words. I only write mine for my Ram." Such is Hanuman's humility. Even his own divine poetry was sacrificed, just so that someone else's service to Ram could shine. That is Hanuman. Not just a devotee with strength, but a devotee with a heart so pure, so selfless, that even his greatest creation was an offering, not an achievement. Let's read this final doha. Pavan tanaye sankat haran मंगल मूर्ति रूप राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसहु सुरभूप. Pavan Tanay, son of wind god, Sankat Haran, remover of all troubles, Mangal Murti Roop, embodiment of auspiciousness, Ram Lakhan Sita Sahit, along with Ram, Lakshmana and Sita, Hriday Basahu, may you reside in heart, Surabhup, O Lord of gods. This Doha is a final prayer from Tulsidasji, a complete offering and surrender to Hanumanji. What makes this Doha so special? It summarizes Hanuman's entire identity. Pavan Tanay, born of the wind, symbolizing speed, purity, and breath, the pran, the breath. Sankat Haran, our savior in all forms of distress. Mangalamurti, wherever Hanumanji is present, goodness follows. And also it brings the whole Ram Parivar into our heart. This is that he doesn't just invite Hanuman, he requests Hanuman to bring Ram, Lakshman, and Sita along with him. And this Doha is not ending the Chalisa, it is starting a new lifelong relationship. May this Chalisa not just be a prayer we chant, but a path we walk, a light we follow, and a devotion we carry every single day. So, with this session, we come to the completion of Hanuman Chalisa, a journey through 40 powerful verses and the final Doha, each one filled with bhakti, devotion, shakti, strength, and sharanagati, surrender. And so, our beautiful journey of studying Hanuman Chalisa is now finished. But is this the end? No! This is the beginning of a new committed spirited life that we are able to live, knowing the detailed understanding of what Hanuman Chalisa can bring to our life. This is the path we are not walking alone. This is the path we are walking together. So don't think of this as an end. Think of this as a beginning. And one last time, join me in praying homage to the divine. Please join me. Siyavar Ramchandra ki jai, Pavan Sut Hanuman ki jai, Umapati Mahadev ki jai, Bolo re bhai sab santan ki jai. Thank you for being part of this journey. Whether you joined for all sessions or just one, the seed of devotion you planted will surely grow. I or Goloka Gurukul would love to hear what has been your experience in bringing this understanding of Hanuman Chalisa to life. What have you been able to see? What has touched you? What has changed? Please leave a comment in the box below so that even though the series is finishing, we can continue the conversation and inspiration for a long, long, long time to come. My name is Rohit Uppal, and I will see you again very, very soon with more wisdom from Goloka Gurukul. Keep reciting Hanuman Chalisa, keep remembering Hanumanji, and may he always bless you with courage, clarity, and bhakti. Jai Shri Ram and Jai Veer Hanuman.